constitutes an offense and is considered grave enough to be punishable by law. It is so grave that it is punished. Someone may come up and arrest you and put you to jail. Why? Because crime is not ordinary thing, it's something very grave, and the system says that you have to be punished in order not to do crimes. So crime is not ordinary act or omission. It's something very grave, it's something serious, so you have to be punished for that. You understand the term omission? I'm sitting like this on the side of the pool, and I'm watching a little girl who is trying to have to save herself. She's drowning. I don't do anything. I'm killing her by omission. Okay? This is an omission. So, omission is punishable, and the act is punishable too. We are in the territory of penal law. Penal law is very serious. It's a state violence. If you commit a crime, then some guy will come up to your door and they will arrest you and they will put you in jail. We're in the area of state violence, of legal violence. Because penal law is very serious and provides for penalties. And it comes with it that there are strict rules and specifications in order to do this thing legally. To arrest, for example. See Article 11 of the License Chapter. It says, the court has jurisdiction only with respect to crimes committed after the entry into force of this statute. If you send to the court a case which took place before the entry into force of the statute, the court will say, I'm not competent, I will not try it, I will not make a decision on it, I don't care what you will do with this, I'm not competent to try it. So, this is very strict because we are in the area of penal law. If Article 11 says after, then it's after. Before is out of the picture. See what it is written in Article 22. There is, for example, the act of omission has to be punishable according to the chapter at the time it takes place. If it's not, if you cannot identify a rule that punishes a crime when it's done, the court will say, I'm not competent, this is no crime. Try some other one to try. There is no analogy. There is no analogy. You cannot punish someone by analogy. You are only allowed to punish him strictly by what is written in the law. You cannot apply analogy to penal proceedings. Now, there is a category of crimes which are international crimes. These are very grave situations. The definition goes like this: international crimes are breaches of international law of such magnitude that entail the personal responsibility of the individual concerned. So, some crimes are taken apart by the international community, and the international community says that these are so grave that I have the right to punish them directly. I don't need internal legislation to tell me that they are punishable. So these crimes are international crimes, and war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide are these kinds of crimes. This is a dictum of the US military tribunal agreement, which we skip now because we don't have much time. It actually says what is written there. Now, this is what the ICC deals with. War crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide, plus the crime of aggression, which is out of the context of this sentence. So these are very grave crimes, and the international community says that there is a special right to try them, forgetting what the internal legislation say about that. About this. I will be reforming. We are in the territory of international penal law, which is sometimes bizarre and contradictory. In the penal law, 1 plus 1 does not always make 2. Sometimes it makes 2.5. Sometimes it makes 1.5. There is no penal responsibility for states so far. See, only the first line of this slide. This is a gift by the ICTY, the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. It said, under present international law, it is clear that states, by definition, cannot be a subject of criminal sanctions. Only physical persons are so far the subject of criminal sanctions. Okay? Maybe 20 years, 30 years, states become liable for criminal sanctions too, but this is not the case. Please note that from the same act may emanate both responsibilities. The physical responsibility and the responsibility of the state. For example, a young lieutenant takes the order to fire upon the border to the neighboring state. This may be legal, this may be not legal. If it is illegal, you receive the order to fire upon your neighboring state using mortar fire or whatever. This order may be a penal crime. You might be responsible for a war crime as a lieutenant, as an officer, but at the same time, the state that ordered you to do this may have responsibility to compensate the other state which received the damage. So from the same action, two responsibilities may emanate. This slide says that apart from international crimes, which mean national responsibility, there are other kinds of important crimes too, which though are not the same. For example, slave trade is punishable, piracy, illegal seizure of aircraft, all these things. They are also very bad things, but they are not international crimes because there is no personal responsibility for this coming from the international judicial system as such. The states have the responsibility to try and pass legislation to do this. Now, international criminal law can be treaty law or customary law. In international law, you have to remember that customary law is very important. It has the same value and the same powers. And an international treaty may crystallize existing customary law, or customary law may make treaty law change, alter. But the bottom line is that customary law is very important in international law. Most of the rules for conducting hostilities today, most of them you know them already. These rules used to be customs before they became incorporated in the ICC Charter. Okay? So custom is very important for the national penal law. It is not important for internal penal law. Internal penal law does not like custom. Another key point to remember, according to my opinion, okay, is that what we call today international law is not necessarily a just and equitable legal system at all times. What is incorporated in international law is not always just and good and equitable. It is just a set of rules born mature through conflicts, confrontations, and political and economical compromise. Can you understand that? Can you realize what I'm talking about? It is better, though, to have this kind of system than having no system at all. It is better not to have void, but to have a set of rules, even though these rules are not very satisfying. International law and international tribunals and all these things are not purely legal, they are also political. And you will see what I mean a few slides down the way. See this one. This is a bridge, a bomb bridge in Kosovo. It was bombed by NATO aircraft. Yet, the then prosecutor of ICTY, Mrs. Carla Del Ponte, after evaluation of the relevant investigation report, decided not to prosecute any NATO official for the Kosovo bombing campaign in 2000. Why did she do that? Because international criminal tribunals are not pure legal organizations. They are legal plus political organizations. This is a compromise. They were not made to serve justice. They were made to save international peace and security firstly, and justice secondly. So she had to act semi-legal, semi-political. And this is a fact for everyday justice, even in internal justice. In Greece, in Europe, and in the States, everywhere. Now, look at this picture. This is obviously a war crime. He is trying to decapitate a prisoner of war. This photo makes you think that this is a very bad situation, but this was not always the case. In order to get to that point, we had to wait at least 150 years. So, international humanitarian law has not always been at the stage we experience it today. It took a great deal of blood and pain and hundreds of international treaty and customary laws. We see this picture. You can see over there is a dead soldier, another one here, and this they are trying to decapitate or stab or what the one who is down. This is outrageous. But in order to have the set of rules to judge that outrageous, we had to wait approximately 120 years, starting from the mid-19th century. Okay? And what you experience today as self-evident, it was not always the case. 150 years ago, these guys would take a bravo, would receive a bravo from this kind of situation. These days, they are trying to hide themselves from an international tribunal or from an internal tribunal, or they will try to find some reasons to justify what they are doing. Probably they will say, we are doing this because the enemy did the same thing to our guys. Now, who prosecutes international crimes? First, national legal systems. Okay, this is the first to prosecute. If for some time, for some reason, there is no competence to try them, then we come to international criminal tribunals and internationalized criminal courts and tribunals, which is a third category. I have a few slides for this on the way. How are they established? They can be established forcefully and unilaterally, for example, by a Security Council resolution. This is the case with the International Criminal Tribunal for Yugoslavia and International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. Or they could be established with international treaty and state consent, which is the case of the SC. Okay? Is it clear so far? Now, some history to illustrate how we came all this way until today, that we are able to talk about international criminal tribunals and the good and bad things. So, first codification of the law of war began towards the end of 19th century. We have Geneva Convention of 1864, St. Petersburg 1868, the Hague Conventions. This is a very important convention, the Hague Convention number 4 of 1907. In this convention, most of the law as we know today is incorporated. That convention became international customary law. It talks about prisoners of war, about white flags, about protection of those who are not fighting, and all these things that we know today, and we see them as self-evident. The Martens Clause. Have you ever heard about the Martens Clause before? The Martens Clause is a customary, international customary rule, which says that if there is no written rule for a situation, what we have to do is apply international custom and the laws of humanity in order to protect civilians and those who have placed their weapons down and they are trying to surrender. This law, plus the Martens Clause, was the basis for the establishment and functioning of the Nuremberg Military Tribunal of 1946. This is the first international criminal court which was set up. Until that, there was nothing. This is Mr. Friedrich Martens himself, which acted as an action delegate at the Hague Peace Conference of 1899. And what he said there, and it was incorporated in the preamble of those legal texts, became very soon an international customary. After the First War, there was a failure. They did not establish an international tribunal. The League of Nations, which is the predecessor of the United Nations, also was not able to establish an international criminal tribunal. The Brian Kellogg Pact of 1928 was the first treaty. We are talking about 1946. They said that these crimes are very important, very grave, and they are directly punishable. Crimes against peace, which is crimes, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. This is the first time that it was written that these kinds of crimes are directly punishable by the international community. Until that, there was no such rule. The Tokyo Military Tribunal is very similar to the Nuremberg Tribunal. In 1948, the UN Convention for the Punishment of Genocide was signed. Genocide was punishable or could be punishable only as a crime against humanity. In 1948, it became something separate. The 1949 Geneva Conventions, the 1968 Convention that said that there is no statutory limitations for this kind of crimes, no paragraph for this serious crime. There is no statute of limitations for this war crimes. That's why, if a war criminal of the Second World War were alive today, his crimes could still be punishable after 80 years. After 80 years. This is customary rule that there is no statutory limitation. Very important is this thing. In 1990, the Cold War ended. This allowed the full-fledged function of the United States Security Council. Until that day, because of the Cold War, the Security Council of the UN could not function properly, which means that they could not establish a criminal tribunal, because one of the 5 permanent members would veto this kind of effort. But after 1990, in most cases there is consensus, and that's why we are dealing with international criminal tribunals today. Now, the principles enshrined in the Nuremberg Tribunal Charter have become customary law. Have a look. These rules are all customary and they still apply today. There is personal liability for international crimes directly from the international community. No internal legislation. Internal legislation, to the contrary, does not release the person under international law. I cannot come out and say internal Greek legislation allows crimes against humanity. This is irrelevant in the international context. Why? Because there is a customary rule that says, oh yes, they are punishable. The fact that the person who committed an act which constitutes an international crime at the state or government official does not release him from responsibility. That's it. Then part of the Omilία. The fact that the person acted pursuant to order of his government or of a superior officer does not relieve him from responsibility, provided that he had a moral choice. There is a slide down the way for this, which is more specific. The defendant has a right to fair trial, even if he is a war criminal. These are the core crimes punishable: war crimes, crimes against humanity, and crimes against peace. And complicity is in area, saying that complicity is also punishable under international law. Complicity to international crimes. Okay? Do you have it so far? Are you okay? Now, these are the international tribunals that we have today. We would not have them if the Cold War was still going on. Okay? This is very important to remember. Because the situation we are dealing with is politico-legal. It's not purely legal. So, the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, the Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, that was, this is not exactly the same situation, because for Rwanda it was some kind of internal conflict. In Yugoslavia, the conflict was kind of internationalized. These two courts were established by UN Security Council resolutions. Why? Because only the Security Council had the power to impose that. The local governments and the local officials did not want to prosecute war criminals. They did not want to prosecute. They did not have the money to prosecute. They didn't have the political will to prosecute. So the Security Council decided to prosecute them. In 1998, the ICC, the International Criminal Court, was established by treaty and state consent. It started to function, it came into here in 2002. I'm going to show you a few internationalized criminal tribunals. These are not exactly international criminal tribunals. They are partly international, partly internal. Why? Because it is very expensive to establish an international criminal tribunal. It is very, very expensive. It takes a lot of money and effort to establish it. You have to pay for the people who will man the court. You have to pay for investigations. You have to pay for 1,000 things, and this means millions of dollars. So, where there is no money, they try to create hybrid courts, which are not so expensive, and they are partly internal, partly international. This also helps the local communities to feel that they are great and important. So, the special court for Sierra Leone, established in 2002, it is supposed to try major perpetrators for grave breaches of international humanitarian law committed in the area of Sierra Leone since November 30, 1996. What if one commits a crime on the 29th of November 1996? This court will say, I'm not competent to try the case. I don't care who tries. I'm not competent to do it. The extraordinary chambers in the court of Cambodia, they are supposed to try those crimes of 1975 and 1979 area. Cambodia was not very keen to cooperate with the court. Actually, Cambodia was very reluctant to that. But anyway, the court was established. The special tribunal for Lebanon to try those who were responsible for the killing of the then Prime Minister Rafik Hariri and 22 other persons by a bomb explosion. This court deals mainly with the crime of terrorism according to the Lebanon Penal Code. Its jurisprudence is very interesting because they have defined terrorism. Judicial panels for East Timor and Kosovo. Okay, East Timor and Kosovo. Their legal systems were partly not functioning or non-existent, so that the national community enforced upon them a system of partly internal, partly international judicial panels. And this is a special case that you recognize the guy who is about to be hanged. Is Saddam Hussein. It was found guilty by the Iraqi Special Tribunal, the IST, and he was hanged after receiving the death penalty. This court is not considered a proper court by law professors and law and jurists, because its guarantees are not the same, are not up to the European level guarantees. And by the way, the judge, one of the judges who sentenced Saddam to death, after a few months, he was found dead too. These are awful situations. Anyway, now let's see the ICC, the National Criminal Court. Cour Penal International. This is the trigger mechanism, the way a case may be brought before the court. That's the διαδικασία δίωξης. How does the prosecutor start to investigate the case? Three ways. A situation may be referred to the prosecutor by a member state to the charter, okay, which is an international agreement. Why are we talking about situation? It is a political term. It is more general, and it does not offend certain persons. So it's better to give the situation to investigate than special accusations for a physical person. A case may be referred to the court by the prosecutor by the security council. The prosecutor may act proprio motu, after pagina of the proprio motu, it's Latin. It means by itself, the prosecutor by himself. But see this is very interesting, and it is purely political. The security council may say to the prosecutor that you are to abstain from trying this case. And you can ask the prosecutor to do this for 12 months, and it may renew this referral. The security council has done this thing 2 times so far. Why? Because the court is politico-legal, it's not purely legal. Which is what is the competence of the court? The competence of the court is to try a crime of genocide, crime against humanity, and war crimes. The contents of these crimes, you already know. They are already in your mind, but you can come up to live with it, and you find it, okay, it is something normal. You already know that. That was not the case 100 years ago, I don't know. Now, let's see these crimes from the ICC Charter, because the ICC Charter is the latest text that has incorporated all these kind of rules. Genocide. The term genocide was invented in 1944 by a legal practitioner called Lenkin. This is a photo of the genocide against the Armenians. What is genocide? Genocide is what the law says that it is genocide. The following. Genocide means any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such. You have to have genocidal purpose, γενοκτονικό σκοπό. If you don't have genocidal purpose, what you are doing might be something else. For example, a crime against humanity.
10 λεπτά.
10 minutes to go. Relax. So this is the acts of genocide, serious bodily harm, conditions of life, prevention of births, etc. Crimes against humanity, rules that you already know. Murder, extermination, enslavement, directed against civilian population, okay? We don't care if it's wrong or peaceful. If you do what the law says, it's crime against humanity. So murder, extermination, enslavement against civilian population, deportation, deprivation of physical liberty, torture. This would create torture, and this is a crime against humanity, but that was not the case all the time. Persecution of the racial, ethnic, etc. group, forced disappearance, kind of apartheid. Apartheid means that one race imposes itself upon another race. Not necessarily blacks over whites or whites over blacks, any racial group upon another racial group. Inhumane acts, war crimes. You already know the acts, the particulars. Large-scale commission of such crimes. This thing, large-scale, applies only to the ICC Charter. A war crime might be so that already know this. You just get the chance to see it written on a slide. Taking of hostages, other violations of laws and practice of war in international conflict, attacking the humanitarian assistance, for example. This is what the law tries to punish. This is a case of collateral damage. It tells you that when you can avoid collateral damage, you have to avoid it. Otherwise, you will be punished. This is what the law tries to do. It is not all the time successful, but it's better to exist, it's better to be there than having a legal void. So, this is collateral damage. This poor creature did not have to do anything with an armed conflict. Improper use of flag of truce. This is customary since 1907 with the Fourth Hague Convention. Deportation, destruction of religion, education, art, science, charitable objects, physical mutilation or medical examples and experiments. Have you heard about the infamous Japanese 731 unit? They conducted biological experiments in Manchuria, China, during the 30s and 40s. They committed great crimes, and they later said that they're conducting water purification tests. They did atrocities. Really, it was a war crime at that time, and it still is. During 731, look it up on the internet. It's very interesting. Declaring that no quarter will be given, will take no hostages, your throat slashed, irrespective of whether you fight or not, if you win or not, we don't care. We will slaughter you. This is a war crime, pillaging, etc. Using of poison poisonous weapons. This is an interesting slide. It says that if you use expanded bullets, you're committing a war crime. Why? Because this is what kind of damage an expanded bullet, the bullet can cause to the human body. So the law says that you are allowed to kill, you are allowed to shed blood, but you have to do it in a more humane way than this one. This is the illogical thing about the penal law. They allow you to kill using a full metal jacket projectile, but you are not allowed to kill using a dum-dum projectile. Okay, this is crazy, but this is as far as we have gone so far. Maybe in 30 years, 50 years, the situation will be much better. This is very important. Sexual violence has become a written war crime. Sexual violence as a mode of warfare is being conducted these days, as we speak now, in Africa. They are using extensive. They are using extensively sexual violence as a mode of warfare. Nigeria, for example, both by Boko Haram and the Nigerian regular troops. And that was the case in the 90s in the former Yugoslavia. Unthinkable situations. Anyway, using starvation as a mode of warfare. It is used every day in Africa, even as we speak now. This is also something to remember. To use children under the age of 15, it is a war crime. It is extensively done in Africa. What is the most frightening thing in this photo, on your opinion? My opinion is that the look in the eyes of this kid is the most frightening thing in this picture. It is more fighting than the AK-47 itself. This is all. It is a war crime. Taking of hostages, depriving someone of a fair trial, etc., pillaging, all these things. This is slide 2. This is a war crime. Why? Because it is treasonous. Someone thinks that the helicopter is medical, but these guys are firing from the helicopter. This is treasonous and this is a war crime. It is not war crime to use special forces or the parallagi as in a war crime. But if you're trying to play treacherously, then it's a war crime. Poison, asphyxiating gases. What is interesting is that the use of nuclear weapons is not a war crime. Why? Because the international community has not come to an agreement for political reasons yet on nuclear weapons. So we may use a nuclear weapon. This is not an international crime that would go to the ICC. It could be a violation of internal legislation of Greece, for example, or the internal legislation of France, but it is not a war crime up to the ICC. Now, I will finish. I just need 2 minutes more. This is a few important key facts to remember on the ICC, and you can look at that for your studies if you care. ICC is a mixture of law and politics. It is slow and expensive. There is an opt-out case for war crimes for 7 years for the states member. France has used this right. Yet, it is a major step forward. It is better to have this than have none. These are the penalties that the ICC can impose. Not the penalty, imprisonment of up to 30 years, life imprisonment, fines, and forfeiture of assets that can come out of war crimes or crimes against humanity. The composition of the court, there is the presidency, an appeals division, a trial division, and a pre-trial division. This pre-trial division is something like to the Commons Δικαστικό Συμβούλιο. This pre-trial division has the role of checking if the prosecutor is doing his job okay. The office of the prosecution and the prosecution of the registry, and the ability of having limitations. Can try cases on crimes committed after July 1st, 2002. What is done has been done before that date, there's still no care about. And this is the final, yes, this is the final slide. Take 1 minute to read this. Superior orders do not relieve a person from responsibility, criminal responsibility, unless 1. The person was under legal obligation to pay. The person did not know that the order was unlawful, and the order was not manifestly unlawful. Στα ελληνικά είναι η προσταγή του ποινικού κώδικα, έτσι. This slide says that if you receive a manifestly illegal order and you execute it, you are responsible along with the one who gave you the order. This is international customary rule. It applies all over the world. And the ICC Charter says that the order to commit genocide and crimes against humanity is always manifestly unlawful. Now, it was a crash course. Thank you for your attention. I hope it was not a waste of time. Thank you for listening. You can come back to my presentation on the side of the academy to go through it as a PDF file. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Have a nice afternoon.